Yeah.
Now, there's every studio, I mean, every distributor in the country wanted the picture.
Uh-huh.
They all wanted it. But when the legal department saw the picture, they said, lay off.
When we think of a rugged, manly man, Charles Bronson immediately comes to mind. He proved that hard work can change your life. But there was a part of him so controversial that the world went crazy over it, and even his daughter confirmed it. What was the secret? To find out, we first need to understand his beginnings. In 1921, Charles Bronson was born into poverty in a Pennsylvania coal mining town. He was the 11th of 15 children, raised in a crowded, financially unstable household where every penny mattered. When he was just 10 years old, his father died from a lung disease caused by years in the mines. This loss thrust young Charles into a world of responsibility at a very early age. The poverty of his childhood was traumatizing. On his first day of school, he had to wear hand-me-down clothes that included a dress passed down from an older sister. Quite a contrast from the persona we know, right? This early humiliation left a lasting impression and may have shaped the man he became. By his teenage years, Bronson was working in the coal mines. He was a bright lad laboring in dark, cramped tunnels for insignificant wages. The back-breaking work left him with calloused hands and permanent scars, reminders of his harsh childhood. But despite this, he kept working to change his life and his family's future. These early experiences shaped his worldview, instilling a deep understanding of hard work and determination. They fueled his ambition to escape the cage of his upbringing and seek a better life beyond the coal mines. Beneath the hunger and bruises was a child who loved his country. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, that patriotism rose. In 1943, Bronson was called to serve in World War II. He was trained as a gunner in Arizona, a role essential to the war but one that didn't expose him to the same dangers as frontline soldiers. Though he didn't see active combat, his time in the military left a lasting impression. After the war, he left the army behind, but the discipline, camaraderie, and sense of duty were permanently carved into his soul. These qualities would contribute greatly to his success as an actor. Now released from the military, Bronson had a choice: return to the coal mines for meager wages or become something more. For maybe the first time, he had a choice, and he followed his heart. He ended up in Hollywood. His transition into acting was gradual, beginning with odd jobs and small roles. Initially known as Charles Bronson, he later adopted the stage name Charles Bronson, a decision influenced by the paranoia surrounding communism at that time. Bronson's early career was built on sheer will and determination. He took on various roles, often portraying tough, uncompromising characters that resonated with audiences. His distinctive voice and rugged appearance set him apart from the typical leading men of his time, earning him recognition and paving the way for future success. One of his most memorable roles came in 1963 when he played Flight Lieutenant Danny "Tunnel King" Valinsky in The Great Escape. The character was supposed to dig a tunnel, but Charles had developed claustrophobia. Digging in a closed space, even on camera, took a lot out of him. But he wasn't the kind of man to give up. Despite his fears, he delivered a mind-blowing performance that impressed audiences and further established his reputation. But life as an actor wasn't all happiness. Bronson faced criticism from people in the industry who questioned his suitability for leading roles. But this was a man who had overcome disaster as a 10-year-old child. He wasn't about to cower before industry-bred cartoons. He remained undiscouraged, using his talent and determination to prove his critics wrong, and he continued landing roles in increasingly high-profile films. Throughout his career, Bronson remained true to himself. He never wanted to forget his past. When he got tired of the fame, he used to let loose. Though the world knew his tough exterior, Bronson was a sensitive artist at heart. He found comfort in painting and sculpting during his spare time. His tough guy persona wasn't developed just to be a good actor, it was an accumulation of everything he had seen in his life. The physical scars from his years as a laborer were proof of his endurance and shaped the rugged behavior he projected in his roles. His commanding presence and body language made him a natural fit for tough, uncompromising characters in legendary films like The Great Escape and the Death Wish series. Charles wasn't only known for his film roles. His love story might be one of the most popular and controversial of his time. Charles was married to his first wife until their divorce in 1965. During the shooting of The Great Escape, he met Jill Ireland. Sadly, she was already married to his friend and co-star, David McCallum. But that didn't stop two deeply connected hearts. They hooked up while Jill was still married, and their affair caused a lot of controversy. David later came to terms with it and left Jill in 1967. A year later, Charles and Jill married in 1968. She then started appearing in many of her husband's movies, and people humorously said it was because no other actress was willing to star next to Charles. They lived in a Bel Air mansion and raised 7 children together. But no man lives life without sadness. His beloved wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. She fought vigorously, with her husband supporting her at every stage. She raised cancer awareness and started a charity for cancer research. When they thought she was safe, the doctors diagnosed that the cancer had spread to her lungs and other parts of her body. She was given 3 to 5 years to live. She passed away on May 18, 1990, with her family watching her draw her last breath. She specifically asked for no crying at her funeral and for there to be champagne. She wanted people to be happy that she lived. Charles Bronson later married Kim Weeks 8 years after Jill's death, a union that continued until his death. Charles Bronson's rise from a coal mining town to international film stardom is legendary. When he returned from World War II, he attended acting school and did odd jobs at the Pasadena Playhouse. His breakthrough came with a role in Drum Beat in 1954, igniting his gradual rise in Hollywood. His greatest peak came with Death Wish in 1974, where his portrayal of vigilante Paul Kersey left such a lasting impression that audiences became addicted, leading to a sequence of Death Wish movies. Beyond vigilante roles, Bronson showcased versatility across genres. His dedication to his craft left a permanent mark that still inspires generations of actors today. But Charles Bronson was no exception to the controversies that came with fame. One of the most notorious was his reputation for being an arrogant and violent off-screen jerk. Yes, it sounds far off from his on-screen persona, but it was a part of him that wasn't hidden from the public. Throughout his career, Bronson didn't hesitate to fight with directors, producers, or even the media. One of his most popular confrontations was with a sergeant, where he broke the man's arm during a brawl. His refusal to shake hands with people made it worse. When asked why, he said he had a fear of germs, but it was unconvincing when he wouldn't even shake hands with an interviewer. One of the most controversial parts of his career was his appearance in the Death Wish series, where people regarded the ideology of vigilantism as a promotion of violence. The plot revolved around a main character taking revenge for his family through unethical means. This sparked heated debates about the meaning of justice. The fact that people started hating him for a movie character he played showcases the authenticity of his acting skills. Bronson's relationship with the press further highlighted his reputation as a controversial figure. He was known for his hatred toward journalists and film critics because he felt they disrespected his privacy. For someone like Charles who didn't care about the media one bit, it's no surprise that people had a negative image of him. Despite all the controversies, Bronson was a man who believed in his principles. He was fiercely protective of his family and maintained a tough exterior that masked a more sensitive side. His legacy, from the coal mines to the silver screen, is a testament to his determination and tenacity. He made the tough guy look that people today still try to follow. It wasn't just his on-screen performances that made him a legacy. Behind the scenes, he was a savvy businessman who understood the value of his brand. He negotiated profitable contracts that allowed him to amass considerable wealth, making him one of the highest-paid actors of his time. His net worth was estimated to be around $75 million in today's money. But his wealth wasn't just measured in dollars. From mansions to farms, he owned so much property that a man today would be jealous just counting it. Yet between the fame and fortune, Bronson always remained a down-to-earth man who never forgot his humble roots. One of the most lasting aspects of Bronson's legacy was his impact on popular culture. Even excluding his filmography, he became a cultural icon whose tough guy persona inspired countless imitators and cemented his place in the history of action heroes. Moreover, his legacy extends beyond entertainment. As a talented artist, he left behind paintings and sculptures created under the pseudonym Buchinsky, showcasing his sensitivity and creativity. In the last years of his life, he had a slow passing. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and spent his days reminiscing about the golden days of his youth. He was a legend among legends, a star that shone so brightly it enlightened many dark hearts. They used to say that Bronson aged like fine wine. The more he aged, the more graceful he became. His rugged exterior softened, and his stoic expression relaxed, revealing a man who cherished moments of solitude. He retreated from the limelight and experienced peace in the simplicity of everyday life. But beneath the layer of tranquility was the slow poisoning of old age that caused his declining health. Throughout his final years, Bronson remained a light of hope, facing his health challenges with characteristic stoicism. While fighting the end of his life, he started remembering all the loved ones he had lost. The loss of his beloved wife Jill Ireland in 1990 was one of the hardest times he had to endure, leaving an abyss in his heart that could never be filled. Their love story was a bond forged in the fires of unacceptance and strengthened by unwavering devotion. The real cause of his death was stated as pneumonia, but the reason he died was because of Alzheimer's disease that weakened him over the years. He had a peaceful death, surrounded by all his loved ones and family members. He drew his final breath with the sounds of silent sniffs saying, "We love you, Charles."